Up with a representative to discuss her support for various legislation and the George Floyd protests. Take a look. You just announced your support for a few different acts, including the CARES Act and the SAVERS Act. Talk a little bit about what's included in them.
Well, the CARES Act, it definitely was to help people in our communities and small businesses and people that were unemployed. And so we had to do that because the government shut down businesses because of the coronavirus. So I thought it was the right thing to do for government to help businesses and workers get back on their feet.
As we know, President Trump signed an executive order against social media companies, saying the move was to defend free speech, but you said you're interested in sponsoring legislation to rein in social media platforms. What would you like to see included in such legislation?
Well, I know that Senator Hawley is working on this, and so my office is trying to reach out with his office. This is something I'm very interested in. I'm on the Homeland Security Committee, and we had the different social media platforms come into a hearing, and it was very obvious to me that not only do they censor certain types of speech, like they took off Prager University posts that were, very innocent, and they deemed it not acceptable, but also their algorithms are very disturbing. Like, they decide what people should see when they search for a subject. And that's just wrong. And so they shouldn't get these legal protections, liability protections, if they're going to become an editor, because they've always said, oh, we're just a platform. Well, that's obviously not true. So I would like to work together with Senator Hawley and others in Congress. And I think this could be a bipartisan approach. I'm not sure, however, because some of my Democratic colleagues on Homeland Security Committee want to outright ban President Trump from Twitter. And obviously, that's total censorship.
And we know that Twitter, they censored some of the president's tweets, saying that it could be misleading. But I want to go to a different topic. Speaking of social media, we're seeing footage of these protests and riots across the nation. What is it like in your district?
My district, thankfully, is nice and calm. But over in Scottsdale, which is in David Schweikert's district, there was a lot of unrest on Saturday night, a lot of looting, smashing windows, stealing things, which is really unusual for Scottsdale. This was in Scottsdale Fashion Square, which is an upscale shopping center, and it was unexpected. Now, I think it's really important that George Floyd gets justice. And we'll see what plays out in the courtroom, but from the videos, it looked very disturbing. However, what's happening with looting and rioting, that's not protest. That's not peaceful protest. That's just people being criminals and doing criminal acts. And so Governor Ducey here in Arizona has declared a curfew because there were some rioters that were trying to get on our freeway, and it got stopped partly because of the curfew.
And as you mentioned, a number of cities and states are continuing to impose curfews due to the riots. And as you mentioned, Arizona Governor Doug Ducey, he imposed that statewide curfew. What would you say to those who plan on participating around your district?
Well, I would say, have peaceful protests if you like. Of course, that's part of our constitutional rights. It's pretty hot here, though. I have to tell you, it's in over 100 degrees here. So I have to give credit to those people that are peacefully protesting. But don't start looting and destroying commercial properties. I mean, these people, these business owners, have already had a tough time because of the coronavirus. I mean, they were shut down for a couple months. And so they're just trying to get back on their feet, and now you guys are destroying their property. This doesn't have nothing to do with George Floyd's memory or justice. This has to do with criminal acts, and it's rioting. It's not protesting, so stop it.